am the Financial Education Coordinator here at the Los Angeles Police Federal Credit Union. Tonight you're very lucky. You have two very knowledgeable presenters that will be going over back here, finding a home, selecting an agent, the purchase process, financing, purchasing a home after a foreclosure, as well as loan programs. So first off, let me take this time to congratulate you on taking your first step to home buying. Whether this is your first time or you're purchasing after experiencing a foreclosure, the credit union can definitely help. Before we get started this evening, I would like to go over some tips on navigating the webinar toolbar that you have located. More than likely it's located to the right side of your screen. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the fact that this is a recorded webinar. So if you would like to revisit it at a later time to take notes, you can definitely do that. I'll be sending out the recorded version within the next 2 business days. If you take a look at your toolbar, I want to make sure that all of you know how to navigate and how to ask questions. On your toolbar, you should see a plus sign located to the left of the word questions, the question tab. If you go ahead and click on that and type in a question, so let's say just type in yes, and that way I know that you know how to navigate through there. Okay, thank you. I'll wait for a couple more people. Thank you. Okay, so this is how you're going to be able to ask questions at the end of the webinar. I do ask that you hold all your questions until the end, as a lot of your concerns might be answered within the presentation itself. I will also be sending out a survey tomorrow, which I would love for all of you to complete. This helps us to know what type of webinars you would like to hear in the future, as well as answer some of your questions or get someone to be able to contact you and follow up if you have some additional home buying needs. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to one of our presenters. Again, he is very knowledgeable, and his name is Brad Korb. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation over to him at this time.
Hi, this is Brad Korb. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Just want to reach out and say hi. Glad I'm here and I can answer some questions and tell you a little bit about the home buying process. So just want to start off. Whoop, scroll down too fast there. Just, renting versus buying. When you're renting a property, you get no tax benefit. You may have a little bit of a lower monthly cost and some less responsibilities. You don't have to worry about, any maintenance or repairs to the property. And if you decide you want to move to a different neighborhood, or you want a bigger place or a smaller place, it's a lot easier to, relocate. Some of the challenges, if you're in a non-rent control area, the rents can, go up substantially when the market is getting a little bit stronger with the rents. If you're in a rent control area, like if you're over in some place like in Los Feliz or some places in LA, Paso Park, Eagle Rock, Valley Village, some of the other areas, they have rent control, so your rent won't go up quite as much. The benefit of buying is that you're going to get tax benefits. You could talk with your CPA and find out what kind of write-offs you'll get, but it's a fantastic, benefit. Rather than just paying rent, you actually get some tax write-offs. So what I tell clients is actually like Uncle Sam is paying part of your mortgage payment because you can write off the interest. Also, you get equity. As time goes on, I've been doing this for over 35 years, I've seen properties that used to sell years and years ago for, like just up an example, a Burbank house up in the Burbank Hills was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,700 square feet back in '79, sold for $99,000. That same house today is worth in the $800,000 plus range. So long term down the road, you'll get some fantastic equity buildup. when you're buying, you'll probably get, there's a lot of pride of ownership in the neighborhood. People that own properties will spend a lot more time making them a nicer place compared to someone that rents a property that they really don't care that much about the landscaping or other things about the not having beautiful flowers in the front yard and stuff like that. However, when you do buy, you'll be responsible for the maintenance and repairs, stuff as roofing or plumbing or stuff like that. The good news, if you're in a condominium, you belong to an HOA, and the HOA will be responsible for the roof, pipes inside your walls, common area maintenance like landscaping outside, stuff like that. So basically, if you like to buy, but you really don't want the headaches or the hassles of things outside your interior wall, then maybe a condominium would be a way to go. Again, as I said before, when you're renting, you'll have lower rent, but when you're buying, you might have a higher monthly payment. But again, if you talk with your CPA, you'll find out that that basically the government will be making part of the monthly payment for you. Finding a home. The first thing that you should do is go out and get pre-approved. The challenges that we've had with some of the clients before is they're out there looking at a house that's either they can afford more, and they're looking at something, say, as a $400,000 home. We find out they can qualify for $500,000, and they're not seeing anything they like because they haven't got pre-approved, or they go out and they think they can get approved for, because their friends have a house that paid $6,000, and gee whiz, I should be able to get the same thing. So they start looking at a house that's more than what their budget is, that they can qualify for. And then it's basically, you're always saying, oh, gee whiz, I wanted a house like that, but that's something that you can't have, not at this point. Maybe down the road when you trade up or something, but at this point in time, it's important to, get pre-approved. That way you know exactly what kind of house you can afford, and when you go out there looking, it's something that you can actually buy. The next thing is, look at some locations, drive around the potential neighborhoods, see what's going on in the neighborhoods, drive there on the, on the nights, on the weekends, look at the neighborhood and see if this is where you want to, spend your nights, your weekends, bring up your kids, have people over to entertain. Is this where you want to be? You can also start looking online. Through the Home Advantage program, they have houses that you can go and search and set up and start looking at houses in certain neighborhoods. You can look by cities, by neighborhoods. So it's a fantastic way to look at some houses. What's the Home Advantage program all about? Basically, the Home Advantage program is the LA Police Federal Credit Union's one-stop real estate resource guide to help you buy or sell a property. The nice thing about it is that you have access to search homes in the MLS. Just like the realtors, you have access to the MLS portals that you can go out and look at some properties. You can also set up alerts for certain properties that meet your criteria. If you're looking for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in the Glendale area in a certain price range, as soon as these listings pop up, you can get access to them. Another fantastic thing about working with the real estate agents that are approved working with the LA Police Federal Credit Union is that you can get up to 20% of the agent's commission when you buy or sell a home. So you could use that for some closing costs, or you could use it for, afterwards at close of escrow for some furniture, or maybe some landscaping startup, or, painting the inside of the house. So there's all kinds of ways that we can work on getting you the 20% rebate at the close of escrow. So it's a great thing to do, to have someone helping you buy the house. You get access to an exclusive agent network who specialize in serving the law enforcement families in certain areas. It's easy to work. Basically, you have to just go online and register. It's really quick and it's really fast. You can receive immediate access to the homes and agents. You get to connect with an agent, and you get free MLS access like I talked about before, and set up customized alerts. Just like, you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you want a certain price range, and you want it in a certain city, whatever you want, we will get it set up for you. And the great thing is, you get money back when your loan closes, which is actually at the close of escrow. Now, to get started, basically you'll register online. Go to the LA Police Federal Credit Union.org and click on the Services and Resource button. After you do that, you'll click on the Home Advantage link. Select the Home Advantage link again. You'll click again. It says third-party site disclaimer. That'll take you off their site, but to the site where you can start signing up and look at some houses. And then you get to enroll online. If you see the down below, you see where it says enroll. Then basically what you do is you enroll in the program. Your first name, last name, your email address. You put your own password in. You know, this would be the LA Police Federal Credit Union, so that's the affiliation that you'll put in there. And then your phone number and basically what kind of time frame are you looking at. You can fill out the information there. And then the first thing you'll do is you'll get to start looking for homes. Basically, you know, look for home. You can look for some homes online. As I said, get the email alerts on the new properties. You can research some of the neighborhoods like we talked about, and you can refer to an agent that's in your neighborhood that's going to take care of you. And as I said, again, get you a rebate for some of your closing costs or fix up the house at the close of escrow. Then once you fill out that, then you start actually looking at some homes in the certain areas. As this example was setting up basically in Southern California. And then basically, as I said, then you can start searching by, you know, searching by the map. You can input the price range of the home, and what kind of house you're looking for. Like, you know, looking for something 450 to 550. A single family. You can look for condominiums, townhouses, and basically some of the areas, you know, the cities that you'd like to search in. You know, you search by zip code, you know, and by tract, school district, and stuff like that. So it's a pretty robust site that, you know, help you look for different kind of criteria for looking for your home. And then after you click on what you're looking for, then the homes will pop up in your search criteria. And then basically, you know, you can click on the house that you'd like to see, and then the house will populate, and then the different information will pop up about the value history, trends, schools, weather, transportation, and all that kind of stuff in the neighborhood. Then when you decide, you know, that you're find the areas you like, then you can pick on a realtor. In this example, it's showing like, okay, I'm looking for an agent in the Lake Balboa area, and then you can also, you know, pick out, you know, if someone speaks a certain language, if you have, you know, have someone in the family that would feel more comfortable with someone who's speaking a second language to you or your spouse or your, you know, your family members, you can set that up too. Basically, if you want to do the, you know, the self-serve, you can just basically call in the 800 number, which is showing up on your screen. You also can send an email, or you can click on the chat button and speak with a representative, or select, you know, contact an agent, and then one of the agents will give you a call back within 24 hours. Hopefully, we can get to you a little bit sooner, depending on what time of day. If if you're on site and you're clicking at 10 p.m. at night, you probably won't get someone that's going to call you back within 5 or 10 minutes. But if you're, you know, usually within the business hours, if the agent's around, an agent may be out on an appointment, you know, showing a property or an appointment, but basically the agent should be able to get back with you, you know, hopefully fairly quickly. If, you know, if it's during the business days, hopefully sometime that day before close of business. When we're talking about making offers, it's important that, you know, the agent provides you with some comparables, so that way you know exactly what's going on in the market. As an example, if you were looking at, say, something up in the, let's just say the Chevy Chase Canyon up in Glendale, the agent could provide you, and you're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. They could show you some comps in the Canyon area. Basically, they could pull up, usually I tell clients, you know, we pull up 75 to 125% of the square footage, and what's going on the last 90 to 180 days of comparable homes, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in a certain area. That way you feel comfortable that the price that you're offering on the property is a great property. You know, when you're making an offer, you know, you have to be be in touch with the agent and talk with them to find out what's real and going on in the property. If the property is a brand new listing and it's just basically come out, the odds are, if say the property is $500,000, you want to start off by offering $450,000. The property's only been out for a week, 4 or 5 days. Sometimes it'll get to a point where the offer won't even be countered or be rejected. So you have to talk with your agent, have a discussion, and see if you can get some information talking to the other broker about what's going on. What's the seller's expectations? What are they looking for? Have they had any chatter with any other broker? Someone's talking about putting in an offer. So you try to find out get some, the scoop of what's actually going on. In today's market, some of the properties are very, very hot on the market. They're actually getting multiple bids, and it's being driven over list price. So sometimes, it's really hard for a buyer to believe in the very beginning that if you're looking at a house, you finally found your dream house, and all of a sudden the broker is telling you, well, it's multiple bids, and you've got to pay $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 over list price to get it. It makes it really hard because it's hard to believe them. But in some cases, we are seeing multiple bids, and they're selling for list, $5,000 more, $10,000 more. We've even, in some really prime hot neighborhoods like La Crescenta, it's really on fire up there. We've seen $20,000, sometimes $40,000 over list price. So it really depends on the location. If you have, if you're writing an offer, it's a little bit high, and you have your appraisal contingency in the offer, and the appraisal comes in low, you can always go back and renegotiate on the, on the price and stuff like that. And basically, all depending on the situation of your offer, you might receive a counter offer. In some circumstances, when there's multiple bids, there are brokers out there that will send out a piece of paper to you and say, hi, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Real Estate Agent representing buyer, we have multiple bids. It's now time for you to give me your highest and best offer. So rather than countering 20 different people, the buyer's agent will work with the selling agent and the seller to come up with the strategy of what to do to try to help you secure the house. It's also important to ask yourself, how much do you love the house? Would you be sad if you lost the house for $5,000 or $10,000? And then you look at how much can you afford. Again, as I said, talk with your CPA and get a real idea of, if you're making this payment, how much are you paying, or how much are you getting a write-off on buying that house? So you have to be comfortable with what's going on. Set up a budget for yourself. Are you still having enough money if you like going out to dinner once a week, or the dinner and the movies? Do you have that in your budget? You have to put everything in your budget to see, what do you need? And your agent can help you decide on what kind of offer. As I said, if you can get some inside information about what's going on with the other agent and the seller, it can sometimes help you prepare an offer. Once you get your house offer accepted, yay! That's the fantastic news. Once the offer is accepted, the contract is a standard feature will provide that the deposit will go into escrow within 3 business days. So basically, a lot of the times you'll get your deposit, you'll wire it into the escrow. Sometimes you'll bring in a check. Most of the time they're comfortable with just wiring the funds in, so you can do that. It's really easy. You'll open the escrow and you'll receive the escrow instructions. Basically, the escrow instructions are basically, the definition of escrow is a third party collecting paperwork. So it's paperwork where basically you sign paperwork that you're buying the property, the seller signs paperwork that they're selling the property. We'll get title insurance. Basically, getting clear title that like the seller has a loan that's being paid off through escrow, and they put your new loan in there in first position. And also make sure that the taxes are paid, that's current, and there are no liens. An example, like if there's say that the seller didn't pay his income tax, he might have a lien against him, which might go into the property. So that make sure that the property is free and clear of liens, and also with the buyer. So the buyer, they had something that they thought everything was fine or something like that. We've had issues where someone has a same name but actually a different person had an issue with, they didn't make a car payment and there was some judgment on them. So it's basically making sure that we get clear title, that we can transfer the property to you with just, you know, your taxes, which will be current at close of escrow, and your mortgage that will be put on right at the close of escrow. And they make the escrow coordinates and make sure all that stuff happens. You know, they'll work with your home insurance and all those other things to make sure everything is fantastic at close of escrow. Escrow will help you, as I said before, complete the paperwork. You know, prior to your close of the escrow, they'll give you an estimated closing cost. You also get one of those from your lender. They'll give you an estimated closing statement. Ron will talk about that in a minute or two. The next thing is the appraisal. You'll get an appraisal of the property. That's why I said it's, you know, that way, you know, if it came in low and you've got the appraisal contingency in your offer, basically, you know, you can get out of the property purchase with the appraisal contingency. It's also very, very important to have a property inspected. That way you know if there's issues with any of the property. If you're buying some of the homes, a lot of the homes in Southern California, in this area, were built in the 40s, the 50s. I even have sold clients to some of the properties that were built in the 20s, which is, you know, if you get some of the historic districts, some of the, you know, the cool California Spanish homes in Eagle Rock, Highland Park, Glass Hill Park, Burbank, Glendale were built in the 20s. Burbank was incorporated in the early, I think it's early 1920s. So there are homes that are built there in that time frame. So you can also, it's very important to check on the major components on the property, being the things like the roof, the electrical, the plumbing, the sewer line. You can even get the sewer line camera and inspect the sewer line, which we recommend doing, just to make sure there's no roots in the pipes on the sewer line, or basically there's no, you know, cracks in it. That can be a very expensive fix. So when you're getting your property inspection, I would highly recommend getting the sewer line inspection. Insurance. Your lender is going to require that you have insurance. Basically, in case something happened to the house burnt down. Also, it's good to have insurance in case someone did a slip and fall. Someone's walking up up to your house and slipped and fell on the stairs. It's very, very important to have insurance to take care of those things. 99.999, nothing's ever going to happen, but it's better to have insurance than not having an issue. Right prior to the close of escrow, the loan documents are drawn, and you will sign them. You'll go over them with the escrow officer. They usually will do all your loan docs with you, and they'll go over, this is what your loan fees are, this is what your interest rate is, this is the terms of the loan. It's a 30-year loan, it's a 15-year loan. Whatever the terms are, they'll go over them with you. If you have a question, you can always reach out and speak with your loan officer at the Los Angeles Policeman Federal Credit Union. The representative over there will go over any of the paperwork that you have questions about too. Once you sign the loan docs, basically it'll set to fund the loan. Basically, you'll sign the loan docs, they'll go back to the lender, make sure everything's fine, and then 2 days before close of escrow, get ready to fund the loan. So the day prior to close of escrow, they'll get ready to fund the loan. So basically, you'll bring your funds in. They'll tell you, when they're getting ready to fund the loan, they'll tell you exactly how much cash you need to bring in or wire into the escrow, which will include your money for your down payment, your closing cost, and you'll put that in. Usually the day or two before funding, your loan will fund, and then the next day, basically, the escrow will close. And at some point during the day, depending on what number the title company is, you will get confirmation from the escrow company. You'll get confirmation from your agent about that you've bought the property and you're now a homeowner. Yay! And depending on your contract, sometimes you'll get possession at close of escrow 5 p.m. Sometimes the sellers will ask for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days to be able to move out after close of escrow. It's usually standard that the sellers or the selling agent will ask for up to 3 days after close of escrow to give the seller a chance to move out. That's it for me, and I'll turn it over to Ron.
Good evening. My name is Ron Guzman. I am the Vice President, Head of Lending for the Los Angeles Police Federal Credit Union. And thank you, Brad. What we're hoping to provide to you today is arm you with information. And we will be here, as Myra indicated. You can certainly ask questions after we are done, or you're certainly welcome to contact us in the following days, and we will be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so let's move on. So what will this year's market look like? I wish I can answer that. I can guarantee you we have one of three things can happen. The interest rates can go up, the interest rates can stay flat, or the interest rates can go down. Unfortunately, I nor anyone that I'm aware of would, have the intimate knowledge as to exactly what interest rates are going to do. We do stay in touch with economists throughout the country. We read up as to what they're saying, and at the beginning of the year they said the rates were going to start going up in June, and then we felt that some economists started moving towards December, and then some said in December. And what we've seen in the last week, we've actually seen home rates go up twice in the last week and a half. Will they stay up? Again, nobody knows. They're still reasonable, and they're still good rates, but they have gone up twice in the last week. Again, we don't know if they'll stay that way or not. We have many of our members and many buyers out there that in the recession had to either have a short sale or either lost a home through foreclosure. And generally the rule of thumb is that if you have a short sale or foreclosure within 4 years, the lenders generally do not lend. Because we are a credit union and we are able to portfolio our loans, we are able to look at the entire picture. So don't allow a short sale or the fact that there was a foreclosure to deter you from purchasing another home. What we need is, in order to be able to give you a good, solid, concrete answer, we would need a completed loan application, we would pull a credit report, and we would take many things into consideration. But we here at LAPFCU have and continue to be able to look at short sales and foreclosures, look at the entire picture, and see if we can go ahead and assist a member by funding a new loan. So as Brad talked about, he talked about the points between renting versus buying. He also touched about pre-qualifications versus pre-approval. Let me kind of further expand on a pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is when you submit limited data to the lender, and the lender takes whatever it is that you submitted and issues and renders a decision. But they put a load of conditions on the decision. It's based on verifying income, based on the collateral of the property, based on this, based on that. So a pre-qualification does not require you to submit a great deal of documentation, versus a pre-approval is almost a complete underwrite. This is where you submit income documentation, maybe 1 or 2 years of your taxes, and things to that nature to get a full pre-approval. Now, most lenders, because of the cost, default to a pre-qualification. But if you ask your lender to give you a pre-approval and go through the full pre-approval process, most lenders can and will do that. We'll talk about private mortgage insurance. This is if you have a mortgage that has a loan-to-value greater than 80%, then PMI is required by the lender. And it's something you cannot get away from. The payment is added to your monthly payment, and it does not reduce the principal. It strictly goes for paying the insurance for the PMI. And again, don't let PMI scare you. If you have only 10% to put down, or 5%, or for that matter 3%, go through the entire process with your lender to see if you can qualify for the loan. Brad also talked about total closing costs. Again, when you're looking at your down payment, you must understand that there is total closing costs including your down payment. So if you're buying a $100,000 home and you're putting 20% down, that's $20,000. But you'll need some additional monies for closing costs. Or what you can do is ask your lender to roll those closing costs into your loan, and providing all your qualifications still fit their program, you can then go ahead and move forward. And how do I move this? And we're going to go one more. Nope, did I go? There. Am I at the right place? Yep, sorry. Okay, let's talk about a fixed versus an adjustable rate. Most of the buyers are using a fixed rate program because their monthly payment stays the same over the life of the loan. That's great, but don't shy away from an adjustable rate. An adjustable rate, there are great adjustable rate mortgages that may fit your need. If you're planning on living in the property 5 years or less, sometimes adjustable rates are actually better than a fixed rate. So what I would recommend that you do is you can certainly go online, you can go onto the LAPFCU website, or you can just go onto the internet and get yourself well educated between a fixed rate and an adjustable rate. Again, your lender will be able to walk you through the different types of programs that may better fit your needs. We, for example, have what we call a 5-1 adjustable rate mortgage program. It has no points. It does not require PMI. You can put as little as 10% down. It's either for a purchase or a refi, and we will lock the rate for up to 60 days on this program. This, believe it or not, is a great program. Again, if you're not planning to stay long in the residence, you might really want to consider an adjustable rate over a fixed rate mortgage. We have a first-time home buyers program. This allows you to put 3% down. Now, this is a Fannie Mae program, and the loans are actually sold to Fannie Mae, but the lender keeps the servicing. There are some fairly stringent requirements where you can have not been a homeowner in the past 3 years. It's for one unit. It has to be owner occupied. It can be in a planned unit development, and it can also be in a condominium. But there is a host of other qualifications that must be met. But this is a great program, especially for first-time home buyers. Okay, you'll hear sometimes your lender or your realtor talk about the different types of loans, and they usually relate to them to a dollar amount. So a conforming loan or a standard loan in LA County goes up to $417,000. A high balance is somewhere between $417,001 and $625,500, and a jumbo loan is greater than $625,501. Obviously, the rates are tied into the type of loans. Your conforming loans are going to have a lower rate than your high balance and jumbo loans because it's tied to the risk. There's higher risk in larger loan balances. We also offer home equity and fixed rate second loans, as well as government loans, so you can look at FHA, VA, and if you're a senior, possibly a reverse mortgage. Some programs have points attached to their loan program. Generally, the rule of thumb is for every point, there's a point for $100,000. So here, it's a $200,000 loan. It's 1 point, so you'll see that the cost is $2,000. But there are many programs out there that have 0 points. And if it has 0 points, your rate may be slightly higher, as you see in this example. Brad talked about you will get your closing costs. Well, up front, when you first apply, you will get what's called an estimate to close. And this will list out in fairly significant detail the fees associated with this loan. Here are some examples. These are generally the types of fees that you will see. You can also shop around because lenders generally have different fees. LAPFCU is among some of the lowest because we are a credit union, and this is how we're able to give back to our membership. But I just wanted to provide you with some examples of what the fees look like. Again, I urge you, if you get an estimated cost to close, review it in its entirety. And if you don't understand it, feel free to ask your lender. And don't accept an answer that doesn't sit well with you. Keep asking until you're fully comfortable that you understand it. We talked about getting pre-approved. Highly recommend it. Keep your credit current. When you're in the process of buying a home, make sure your payments are up to date, you're making them on time. One of the key factors for a lender to make a decision is they look at your credit, they look at your FICO score, and they also look at your payment history. Watch your spending patterns during the approval process. Avoid incurring new debt, and keep in mind that when you're in the process of either purchasing a new home or refinancing a home, when you submit your application on day X, your credit is X. It may take 30, 60, 90 plus days for that loan to close. Things change, and if you go out and purchase a new car and go out and buy all these new kitchen appliances on credit, you have now changed your debt ratio. So your lender must be aware of any large purchases because it will affect your debt ratio. The best thing to do is avoid doing that until after you've purchased and closed. Here at LAPFCU, we have many different programs, over 18 different programs. Now, I urge you to shop around, and what I would suggest is that you get 4 or 5 different pieces of paper and use one for each lender. Write your questions down before you call your lender so you're asking the same question of each lender. You'll then start getting a flavor of what lender offers what, and you'll be able to understand what programs you think may work better for you. Just because a lender has a lower rate does not necessarily mean that that's a better program than a lender that has a higher rate. Again, you have to look at the fees, you have to look at the type of loan, and things to that nature. So make sure that you do a good comparison. One of the things that we are able to do here at LAPFCU is we consider ourselves a hands-on lender. You are not just a file in a pile. We talk to our members, and we do our very best to work with our members to find the best programs for them. It's very easy to apply for a loan with LAPFCU. You just go onto our website at lapfcu.org. You'll see a tab for loans. It will say apply here. You fill in the data, and you can actually also get pre-qualified through our online program. And Myra, are we ready for questions?
Yes, we are.
So we are ready for questions. Feel free to ask.
And so your first question actually is, once you get 20% equity on your home, does the PMI stop?
That generally is how it works. There are some other variables that can take into play as into how long you've had the PMI on there, but that's generally the rule of thumb.
Your next question is, what are the major differences between FHA versus Fannie Mae?
Okay. Let me see how I'm going to answer that. FHA is a government loan program. Fannie Mae is a government-owned organization that buys loans and offers to buy lenders specific type of programs that meet their qualifications. FHA has different underwriting guidelines than Fannie Mae. So they're comparing apples and tangerines. They're very, very different. But an FHA is really more of a loan product, and Fannie Mae is the organization that purchases the loans from the lenders, providing their lenders' programs meet Fannie Mae guidelines. And for more information, feel free to either speak to your lender or your realtor about that.
Okay, let's see if any other questions come through. Okay, we have one. If you take the government-backed loan at 3% or no down, is it true that you have to pay PMI for the life of the loan, even if you reach 20% equity?
I'm not sure of that. Brad, do you know the answer to that one?
To my knowledge, once you basically get to a 20% equity, you are able to get rid of the PMI.
And does that work also on the FHA program?
On the FHA, I mean, what I've seen clients do that have the FHA is once they get to a 20% down, they refinance out of the FHA into a conventional.
Okay. I see that the next question is what is the best way to find a realtor, or does LAPFCU have realtors? As Brad indicated, if you use our home buying program and you enroll in the program, the system will assign you a realtor. Another way to find a realtor is word of mouth. If you have friends or families that have purchased homes and they are very happy with their realtors, that's certainly another way to find a realtor. Brad, do you have any other suggestions? Brad?
Well, you've given great suggestions. I mean, yes, you can find online like you suggested, and yeah, they have people that they work with. They could talk with any family people, any of the family members that are in the area that they're looking to buy in, or if there's anyone at work, that any work, that they can talk with a couple people, and you can interview 2 or 3 agents and see what's the best fit for you. You're going to be out there. This is probably going to be your biggest financial decision in your life. So you want to feel comfortable with this person that's showing you this property that's going to help you find the home, hopefully the home of your dreams. So I would say, as Ron said, you can look online. You'll get a rebate if you work with one of the agents, and hopefully you feel comfortable with them. Or as I said, talk with a family member, talk with some friends, and also talk with some coworkers. That'll give you, 3 or 4 options of agents that you can speak with and get a comfort level.
Okay, our next question. For a VA loan, how do you determine how much you should save for fees and closing costs? Rule of thumb is if you have about 3% of the total loan amount, that comes pretty close to what you should have in fees. And that's just a rule of thumb. Brad, would you agree? Brad?
Yes, I would agree on that. And the okay, there I am. Sorry about that. The neat thing about working with an agent, you can always, yes, the fees are approximately 3%. You can always ask the seller to pay up to 3% of your closing costs. Some of the lenders will even allow a bit more, but typically realtors are used to the buyers and the buyer's agents bringing in offers that they're offering and asking the seller to pay up to 3% of the closing cost. So
Great.
That's something that you can look at.
Our next question is, we have an agent. Will we be able to continue to use her services even if we use LAPFCU? Absolutely. You can use any realtor you want. Now, if you're enrolled in the home buying program and your realtor is not in the home buying program, then you can certainly keep using your realtor, but you won't qualify for any of the rebates of the home buying program. You would just get your loan through LAPFCU. What's the next one, Myra?
Next one is, are there options for someone who has a down payment of $60,000 but is looking for a job and is not currently employed, but is paying rent and who wants to pay a mortgage instead?
That one actually is a very difficult one to answer. The general rule of thumb is that you must have income in order to support the debt. Even though you may have a large down payment, if you have no income, you have no way of validating and proving that you can support the debt. But again, that doesn't completely throw you out of the water. If you have $60,000 and you're buying a $100,000 home, although I don't know where you can find a $100,000 home these days, and your loan to value is extremely low, some lenders might look at that, but it's going to be pretty hard for any lender to fund a loan if there is no income to show that it can support the debt. Next one, Myra.
What happens if I start off with variable rates but stay longer than 5 years in the home?
Okay, a variable rate still 5 years from now could still be working to your advantage. If it's not, you can always refinance at any time. You can refinance if you have a fixed rate loan and you take it out today and 2 years from now the rate significantly decrease, you can refinance your loan. There is really no timetable as to when you can refinance or not. You just want to make sure that by refinancing out of the loan that you have, that it's working to your benefit.
What is the lowest credit score you can have in order to get a loan?
Credit score is only one of the factors that is taken into consideration when underwriting a loan. So if I were to throw out a number there, it's not a full, complete picture. We look at credit score, we look at payment history, we look at income, we look at debt ratio, we look at loan to value. There's an array of things that we must look at in underwriting a loan. So I don't want to throw out a number because there's so many different variables. Now, if your credit score is on the lower end, there could be some additional points that are added to the loan, which is called a loan level pricing adjustment, because the risk is higher because there's a lower credit score. But again, what you really need to do is apply so the lender can look at the entire picture and then be able to walk you through what actually is specific to you. If you've had a foreclosure more than 3 years ago, can you qualify for a first-time homebuyers program? No. Unfortunately, that for the first-time buyers program, that is one of the things that you cannot have, and if you have it, you won't qualify for the program. All right, can you please re-explain the 20% rebate through your program? Brad, you want to take that one?
Yes. Basically how it works is, when the agent that you're working with through the multiple listing services, the seller will give a fee to bring in the buyers to help sell the property. So as an example, let's just say, usually the fee is anywhere from 2.5% to 3%. So basically, if the fee was 3% or something like that on 100,000, that would be 3,000 that would be coming in, and then you would be entitled to get up to 20% of the $3,000, and you could use that for closing costs, or you could use it for something else after the close of escrow. But it's geared to help you with your, mainly I think is most of the buyers have used it for is helping them to use it for the closing costs, and then they can use their money to do other things for the house after close of escrow.
Okay, the next question is, I want to consolidate debt and use my equity in my primary home of 23 years to do things such as remodel and hopefully buy a rental home property in another state. Should I use my primary equity or just go solo and get a different loan to purchase and use my deferred comp to pay the debt? What is cheaper for my budget?
Okay, that is a question. It's a great question. What I would recommend, though, is that you go and speak to your accountant so your accountant can look at your individual circumstances and guide you. There'll be times when it will be to your benefit to take a home equity loan because the interest on the home equity could possibly be deducted. There may be times based on your personal situations that may not work to your advantage. So without knowing the actual specifics, I highly recommend that you go and speak to your accountant who can actually look at your specific circumstances and guide you accordingly. The next one is, what is the time frame you have to wait if you have had both a BK and a foreclosure? Okay, again, with LAPFCU, we look at the entire picture. So we look at, you know, when was the BK, when was the foreclosure, how much are you putting down, did you keep all your other debts, you know, current and things to that nature. So there is no specific time frame for us. The general rule of thumb, though, is 4 years, is the general rule of thumb. Does LAPFCU join with the city deferred comp for guidance? Am I reading that correctly? Does LAPFCU join with the city deferred comp for guidance? I'm not sure I understand the question. I understand that the city does offer a deferred comp program, but we are not tied into it in any way, shape, or form. I hope I answered your question. Feel free to ask it again. With the Home Advantage program, are you able to join and look at the MLS listings without picking a realtor up to that point? Absolutely. You can shop around. You can use it every day. You can use it every minute. You can use it as often as you need without getting assigned to a realtor. Also, does LAPFCU offer the home buying program in Arizona? Yes, we do. Who has spousal? Okay. Also, who has spousal support?
I believe that question goes with the other question of the $60,000 income without having a job, but says I have spousal support of this amount coming in a month. So would that be considered because they don't have a job?
I see. Okay. Spousal support can be used in qualifying a member. We would need to get proof of how long that spousal support would continue, how long it's been in effect. But yes, it is one of the factors that can be used. Will LAPFCU lend on a property that is privately financed through a family member contract? Yes, we can certainly look at it. I don't want to emphatically say we will do it. We have in the past, but we have to look at the entire picture. I have been with my current job for 17 years, and I am planning on changing my employment. How long do I have to wait for a loan? There is no time frame. What we look at is if you were a mechanic for 17 years and now you become a school teacher, those are two totally different jobs, and that would cause us to at least question the employment. If it's similar type of employment where you were a mechanic on automobiles and now you're going to go be an engineer mechanic on aircraft, again, you're in the similar field, and that is not anything for us to question. What if you are self-employed? How many years worth of taxes do you need to prove income? The general rule of thumb is 2 years. Please review debt ratio. What is a healthy score? The general rule of thumb is a back end of 45%, or 30% going to the debt of the home is the general rule of thumb. Next question is, if you have a short sale within the last 2 years, can you qualify for the program. I'm not sure what program you're talking about, but again, because we are a boutique lender here at LAPSCU, we can consider you, even though you've had a short sale within the last 2 years. What is the best amount to save for the first-time home buyer? Wow, that's kind of a loaded question. Let's see. Again, there are many different types of first-time home buyer programs out there. The one that we currently offer is the 3%. But again, we also have the 5-1 adjustable rate mortgage program that you can put as little as 10% down. My rule of thumb is the more you can put down, the better. So that's kind of my rule of thumb. If my brother and I finance a home, would we both be able to claim the interest on our taxes? Unfortunately, we are not allowed to practice tax law, so that would be a question you would need to ask your accountant. Next question is, inherited a property, added to title, refinanced into a loan, then short sold the home. This was 3 years ago. Technically never purchased a home as a first-time buyer. Can I still apply for a first-time buyer home program? That we would have to reach out to the investor to check with. My gut is telling me no, that you would not qualify because you did actually refinance the home, and when you refinanced it, you added yourself onto title. But we would need to reach out to the investor and check on that one. The next question, is there such a thing as bi-monthly mortgage payments or bi-weekly payments? If so, please explain. There is, but the system, we do not post your payments on a bi-monthly basis or a bi-weekly basis, unless you make full payments. So if your payment is $1,000 a month and you pay $500 every 2 weeks, the $500 will sit in an unapplied field until the remaining $500 comes. You now have enough for a full payment, and then the payment is applied. The same with biweekly payments. You can certainly make biweekly payments, and if you want to make 4 $1,000 biweekly payments, you certainly can. But if you're not making enough to meet the full payment amount, it will not get posted to the loan. Can I use deferred comp funds to make a down payment on a home purchase without paying taxes, withdrawing the deferred comp funds? Again, that is a part of this question is for your, don't erase it yet. Part of this question is for your tax accountant as to how that would work for you. Could you use the funds for the down payment? Yes, but it will be taken into consideration into your debt ratio, because if you're borrowing against your deferred comp, you've now taken a loan, and that loan has to be used in your debt ratio.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, let's go. You say if you had a foreclosure, you can get a first-time home buyer without, you can get a first-time home buyer. What about if you had a short sale? Can you get a first-time? Okay. Again, I am not sure if you have a foreclosure, if you would qualify for the first-time home buyers program. The general rule is if you have not had a home in the last 3 years, owned a home in the last 3 years, that is one of the qualifiers. It would depend when the foreclosure or the short sale took place. We would have to reach out to the investor to get further authorization and understanding if they would approve that. Let's take one more. My husband and I commute between here and Michigan. Can we finance a home in Michigan through the credit union? Yes, we are a nationwide lender.